Hey everyone, welcome. Thank you for listening to Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture. Two friends enter the arena from two different perspectives. Who will ultimately win, show or business? So we'll find out, and also, maybe you'll learn a little bit. So ultimately, I don't want to remind you, subscribe to us, listen to us on where you ever listen to podcasts on Spotify, Apple Music. But once again, this is Theo, and I have on the line my good friend, Mr. Benja. How you doing today?
Doing good, man. I like how at the beginning you hesitated before you said friend. You're like two lifelong friends. No, we're definitely friends, man. I just love how we go at it, though. Rivals was the word that was jumping in my head.
I love it. I love it. Yes, we're battling to the death here, I guess, in regards to what's happening in pop culture today. So, well, we're at the beginning of the new year. So, what's cracking? Are you have your resolutions ready to go?
Oh man, New Year's is my favorite time of the year. So I sit around in my little seance area, put candles around me, and meditate until I float about 3 inches off the floor, just to get my mind right for the new year. So yeah, this year I'm actually looking forward to it. 2020 was kind of weird, but it's opening up a lot of opportunities. So anytime there are problems, I see opportunities. So I'm looking forward to 2021, man.
No, same here, man. I agree. It's 2020 was a weird year. Definitely changed a lot of things. Things accelerated more. I think it just everything that we thought was going to happen 10 years from now happened in 6 months. So it's a new year. I think everybody's excited. I mean, I've never seen so many hype people on the internet right now. So I'm also excited about what we can do and what's ahead for us. So well, hey everyone. Today is our prediction show. Last week we, talked about what was great about 2020 and pop culture. This time we will talk about what's ahead for 2021 and perhaps beyond. So yeah, we're just gonna have fun talking about this. What we're gonna do is go back and forth between predictions. I'll say one, Ben will say one, and then we'll check our predictions and see if we were right or wrong at the end of the year. So that should be fun, or at least close toward the prediction. So I think should be fun. So I think I'll go. Well, Ben, how about this? You go first, man. I'll give you the
I'm
honor to
gonna
go
go
first.
first this time. Thank you for
Yeah.
the honor. And yeah, if anybody's following us on Instagram or anything, be sure to let me know or me or Theo know if our predictions are whack or you're awesome and you believe what we say. Yeah. So yeah, my biggest prediction, 2020 was kind of crazy. A lot of people were saying um, before the pandemic, people were saying that yeah, life is good. You shouldn't be complaining, and people were already complaining. So when we went into the pandemic, a lot of complaining just kind of just it skyrocketed, man. Protests and complaints. And it's kind of hard to think, but like January, February, March, this wasn't an issue. People weren't thinking about it so much. But now that we've gone into this year, you got a one big prediction that I've been just thinking about and wondering is what's going to happen to theaters. And I'm calling it, man. The theater scene is done, finished. If if they don't start dropping like flies this year and getting turning into something else or just straight up vanishing, then this will definitely be the year where they said no, no, no. That this is when theaters died. That's
Wow.
it's done.
Wow. Hot take. Hot take. I think AMC filed for bankruptcy, and a couple other movie theaters are finito. So you're saying this is it for them, huh? This is the done deal.
Done deal, man, and not because theaters are this is totally me not looking at the numbers and really how it is happening behind the scenes, but I'm looking at the people. I'm looking in the comment sections, what people are doing with streaming, how they're interacting with each other. The the vibe simply isn't there for theaters. And in fact, I heard someone say, that they don't watch movies. And I was like, wait, what do you mean by that? It's like apparently the format just doesn't vibe well with some people. They're so used to seeing these, long streaming sagas that they can binge all at once, or these little episodes. And if you do have movies, they're linked into other movies like the, you know, um, DC DC and Marvel are doing with the comic movies, even if they're not story wise linked. You've got linked characters and properties bouncing back and forth. So it's very weird what's happening in the public psyche about movies and what they mean to people. So yeah, if you don't have a place to go see them, then yeah, the theaters are done, man. I don't even know how to exactly put it anywhere else, anyway else.
No, it's hot take, definitely. I think what they found too is a lot of the theaters were open in the Midwest, away from the hot epicenters, excuse me, of Los Angeles and New York, right? And if you've noticed, because a lot of those theaters were shut down, the theater, numbers went down tremendously. It was like on average $4 million a week for any new movie that came out. So it shows you how much the coast really drive the revenue for the movie theaters, and if they get shut down like that, that's crazy.
Yeah,
So to your point, if and I definitely think, and this is a transition more to my prediction, but I definitely think people don't realize that we're probably going to be in this COVID-19 pandemic a little bit longer than they think, because the vaccine probably will not be distributed as fast as we think as either. So I think there's going to be, and a lot of things, dealing with that, whether people take it, whether we get herd immunity. So this is, hey guys, this is not a COVID-19 podcast, but just telling you, get a sense of what I'm seeing and hearing. And so I agree, this is not great for our podcast, but I would agree for that prediction. Now I would say this, I would put a caveat just to throw a little wrinkle. I don't think they'll ever go away, right? Just like some of the old stuff that we used to do, like cassette tapes, would never really went away, right? They're still around, right? So, it'll still be there for people to do and who want to do that movie experience. But I agree. The way that we've known and love them and get excited about going to them is ultimately changed, and be a new world. So yeah. Well, let me move to my prediction. So along that lines, I'm going to go out here and say it out here now. Disney said they will be, releasing some movies this year. I think they said they have about 4 movies they're going to release this year. I will say they're not going to release any of those movies this year. So that's my big prediction, and they will move most of those movies to streaming. And so
Oh,
there's
okay, okay.
four big movies they're releasing: Black Widow, that's a May 2021; Shang Chi, July 2021; Eternals, November 2021; and Spider Man, Homecoming, which is the third Homecoming series with Spider-Man, December 2021. Marvel's the top three, I seriously doubt those will get released. So that's my hot take. Sizzle. What do you think?
No, that makes sense, man. They already laid out their opening shot with Mulan, so people were complaining that hey, it wasn't as good as we thought it would be. I paid $30 for this, but guess what? Enough people paid $30 for it that it's totally viable as a as a way to move forward. Now, will they all be $30, and will they all have the same kind of watch it within the certain window of time? Disney can fudge with that, but what's their what's their rationale for really going to the theaters? So I'm down with this one actually. Uh, yeah, go Disney.
Well, last week we talked about Wonder Woman 84. I think we both, gave it, mixed reviews, but we liked it. I think it got torched since the last time we spoke. A lot of folks uh, did not like it, and they talked about it. And I wonder if that's just a function of it was around for so long, sitting around. I'm wondering if the same thing's going to happen to Black Widow, right? Because this is a challenge, being a female superhero movie. You have the fandom black backlash, but also it's been on the shelf for so long. Most of these movies were finished about a year and a half ago. So they're just sitting there. So I'm just curious if Black Widow is going to be released on May 2021. Shang-Chi is going to be an interesting case too. That's July 2021. Should be, but I know Disney's had some issues with China, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see. So like I said, and now if you contrast that to what's happening with Warner, I think their plan is the CEO mentioned it in the last conference call. He mentioned that they're going to do 4 theatrical releases a year, but they're going to do 2 riskier ones, right? And so we'll talk about what those riskier ones are. But
What does risky
yeah,
mean?
whatever that means. Yeah, exactly. But the only movie they have slated for the theater is Suicide Squad, which is August 2021. But let's remember that is also the one that's going to be released simultaneously on HBO Max. So technically, DECU is going to, in comparison to Marvel Universe, they're going to do a little something different. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So, like I said, I predict with Disney will move their movies to streaming, a direct reversal of what they said before. So, moving on. So, what's your next prediction, Ben?
We talked about this a little before, and with Instagram and the way social media is right now. I'm jumping into the Comic Con one, by the way. If you're looking at your bullet points, Theo, um, did you want my take on that one?
Sure, yeah. Well, go ahead. Give me your take on it. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. Go ahead.
Okay. Um, well, so the cons, the cons. I said theaters are dead. Man, let me tell you, if theaters are dead, cons are definitely dead. A lot of these. I'll take the
Ben out here murking. He just killing all pop culture on this podcast today. Everyone just killing it all.
you know, I, I don't know how to put this, but um, people in nerd culture aren't the healthiest people, and you know, putting them in situations where they're going to be rubbing elbows and getting close to people, that's something that they didn't want to do a lot of before anyway. And if you're going to give them reasons to go offline and do it or find different outlets for this stuff, they'll take it. I think a lot of the nerd culture was kind of, saying, okay, I'll go to this big convention and see all this stuff with all these people, not because I want to go hang out with all these people, but because that's where the action is. That's where I'm going to see, um, all my heroes from my movies, and that's where I'm going to have my Hall H experience for those Comic Con guys. So they're going to be gone too. DC fandom and Comic Con, they already put the just like Disney, they put the opening shots out there. It's like, hey, this is how we're going to be doing it from now on. So it's going to be a different kind of con experience. Very interesting to see how it plays out. That I'm not so clear about. I mean, we're never clear about it, but it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, cons are kind of done.
Yeah, I would agree, and that's definitely my prediction. No Comic Cons this year at all. No type of virtual events. There's a big event in Black geek culture called BlurredCon. I think that's over too, and so I think what we're going to see is obviously people are connecting still. Well, let's take a step back. I think the cons were great for connection, but also commerce because Comic Con literally was basically, hey, bring your comic books and let's sell what you have. I'm a distributor. I'm a retailer of comic books or pop culture toys, and I would go there and sell my wares. Well, that's gone. So now I'm talking to my local comic con, my comic retailer, and just asking him, so what's he doing? Obviously, everything's moved online. So my prediction is that I think there's going to be some kind of Stock X for geeks, and so basically Stock X, if you haven't heard it, is this huge like online marketplace for like hot shoes like Air Force Ones, Michael Jordan shoes, Jordans, anything you could think of, right? And I think they have some obviously some game systems are starting to come up there, like the PlayStation 5. They just raised another $275 million, which values them around $2.8 billion. So obviously they're doing well during the pandemic. So I think that's really they're trying to get into the geek culture, but I don't think it's in the core. Their thing is about being cool.
Yeah,
And not
there's
saying geeks aren't not cool,
no, no.
but go ahead.
Stock X is about the streetwear kind of vibe. The streetwear, the alternative art scene, the street art scene, that kind of stuff. So you probably run into some of these people before if you don't know what we're talking about. But yeah, it's like a eBay for cool people.
Exactly, exactly. With some of the brands like Supreme, things like that may show up on there. But geek culture obviously is not as cool, but cool in their own way. And so I foresee some kind of exchange kind of bubbling up where they could do something similar like a Comic Con experience, where they could be able to exchange their wares, share their things, and do something similar. So that's my prediction. So if anyone has that idea, give me a call. Give me credit if you go get $1 billion raised.
I was once at a concert where it was a Kanye West concert actually that came out here to California, and Pharrell and Chad Hugo, the Neptunes showed up. They were opening for Kanye West, and they were throwing out the Billionaire Boys Club shirts. And what's funny is people were catching these shirts, and then they were selling them like right on the floor. They're like, "Yo, dog, I'll give you 120 for that shirt right now. What size is it? Extra large? Okay, I'll bet I'll get that." And it was just wild because these were show exclusives, and you couldn't even buy them. They were just getting tossed out into the crowd. So now I'm wondering with something like StockX, you can do all those exchanges online. It's just kind of crazy.
Well, yeah, you remember Wednesday night, right? Preview show for Comic Con. They always allow exclusives, right? People are excited about, hey, I gotta get this exclusive toy or something that just popped just for that one day, right? And so, yeah, people standing around. So you're right. Can you create that kind of environment, a virtual experience? I think you can. I think you can. But they just have to think through that. But I think that's what makes it exciting, right? We only got five of these things. Sign up. So there's a way. I
Right.
just got an idea. Yeah, there's a way you could do it. But
Yeah.
so moving along to the next prediction, Ben. What you got?
Oh, um, political beliefs and geekdom. So
Oh no,
yeah,
don't do it. Don't do it.
I don't want to seem all doom and gloom. Maybe I'm just really excited for the new era, right? Um, I think the geekdom has been kind of safe from a lot of the political influence, but I think it's really seeping into popular culture in ways that it wasn't before. You know, a property comes out and everyone's wondering if it's woke enough. Some people are wondering if it's pandering, and then they're trying to dig into the writers and the directors to see if they're SJWs, social justice warriors, to see if they should slam them or not. So for a while we tried to keep the art separate from the politics, but I don't think that's really that possible anymore, man.
Wow, that's tough. I mean, I just thought about James Gunn's situation, right,
Hmm.
where he got fired from Suicide Squad and then got rehired, right? Because initially he was fired because there were some old tweets he had said that was quote unquote insensitive, right, to a certain community, disadvantaged community, and so that's happened a lot, right? This cancel culture where they're going back in old tweets and just have them ready to go. And so but now you're seeing people, so it's like two extremes to your point, right? You got the extreme liberal per se that's saying, hey, cancel this person because of this, right? And then you have the other side where people like, hey, there's some folks that love Donald Trump, right, which is fine, but in the geek culture, and they want to highlight that fact that they're Trump supporter and they love Batman. So there you go. It's how's that gonna geekdom seemed like it was all love, one time, it was just, I mean, at one time, we can remember a time where it wasn't cool to know to understand the geek stuff, right? It was like you had to kind of hide your fandom. So now, geekdom is driving pop culture, and now they're saying, now we're going to get split up again, and so it's like, wow, what's happening?
I blame Disney.
Well, this is show versus business, right? So I definitely believe capitalism, right? Because if you think about it, the more people are enraged, then they stay engaged, right? And so
Hmm.
because political,
Hmm.
unfortunately, political thoughts and messaging out there gets people more riled up. So if you tie that to the geekdom, I mean, how much more money can you make, right? I mean, so unfortunately, I think that is part of it just people just following the dollars, right? If you get people engaged and raged about certain things, well, why is Batman going to be black, right? I think that was one of the things that started to pop up, right? I think they're talking about making Batman black here
He shouldn't
for
be
some.
black, man. As 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 throw my fist up in the air as I get sometimes, man, and don't make him black. That's just I just no. We can. I don't even know how to explain it.
Well, with the Green Lanterns, they got like five Green Lanterns walking around, and
Oh, sure,
we're
that's
still
great.
looking for John Stewart, to come with his own movie because that first one sucked. So why not? I mean, but I get what you're saying. I mean, there's certain things that you shouldn't change, certain things you can, and so but like I said, just throwing that thought bubble out there, right? It got a lot of people riled up, man. And guess what? Now people, or the whole thing with Ariel, right? The young girl from
The
uh,
Little Mermaid.
yeah, Little Mermaid. Thank you. And she, is being, she's gonna be black, and so a lot of folks are like, "Whoa, what's this? She's a cartoon."
If it goes wrong, I blame Disney.
So unfortunately, you're gonna see more of that. So thank you for that. So my prediction is next. My prediction is I think Netflix will invest in some kind of social media integration into their platform to really get the people excited about their content, right? They were the big dogs, right? I think they had like a 7 year run before anybody popped up with their own streaming service, right?
Hmm.
You have HBO Max, Disney Plus. Now Disney Plus is the new kid; it's getting all the play. It's growing really fast. So I think Netflix still has great content, right? I mean, they just had a great success with uh, uh, the Queen's Gambit, and then obviously Umbrella Academy, Stranger Things, and another little show we'll talk about in a second. So, but now they got some great creators like Shonda Rhimes, who has, so I have a wife who used to watch a lot of Shonda Rhimes shows, and if you didn't know, like any of those shows would be coming on Thursday. Uh,
So
she
wait,
had me to go to Twitter.
those shows are what? Grey's Anatomy,
Grey's,
How
yeah,
to Get
Grey's
Away with
Anatomy.
Murder,
Yep,
Scandal, right?
yep,
Those are the
yep,
only three
yep.
I can think of.
Well, those are the ones, the big three, right? And I don't know if you remember when those shows were on Thursday nights. Twitter was on fire, buddy. I mean, it was like people were like just blazing it. So, a lot of engagement, a lot of people excited, and so I'm thinking, if Netflix is, I don't know how their algorithm is predicting things. They're probably just looking at like, hey, if you watch 3 minutes of our show, you're engaged, right? But I would hope they would like, hey, we want to keep people really engaged and tied into us, and not eventually say, hey, Netflix, I'm just going to spend all my dough on Disney, right? Disney Plus or
Right,
HBO
right.
Max. They may want to start to try to figure out ways to keep people more engaged in their platforms, and by using creatives to tweet during the show, or talking, having some way to kind of interact with them that way. Because I don't know if you saw, they're doing like after shows now on Netflix, right? They're starting to say, hey, this is after show, or this is, hey, the Netflix after party. So hey, look, we're our shows are cool. You want to stay around. The challenge they have though is they have this binge format, which
Uh huh.
that people can watch at any time. But I think they may start going to a weekly format. So maybe that should be my big prediction. Because you saw the success of The Boys. I don't know if The Boys was a TV show that it was based on a comic book by Garth Ennis. Very profane type of comic book, but they really softened the edges for the TV show.
Hmm.
Premiered on Amazon. Was it last year or a year and a half ago? First season, binged. This year they released it and it was weekly, and I think their numbers went through the roof. So I think Netflix is seeing that and saying, "Hey, we need to engage our people more. Maybe having weekly release schedules for some of our more popular shows, and then maybe even have some more social media integration." So that's my big prediction for this year.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny you mentioned the format. I don't think people realize how important the the physical presentation of something is. And I say physical for a digital product, right? Um, you just think it's a product, but do you have to get up and go to the store to get it? Do you have to go through 5 clicks to get it? Do you binge it all at once? Is it um, is it something that comes out in the fall, or is it something that comes out in the summer? All these little things make a big difference. And like you said, with the more popular shows are they may put out in a weekly format. You might not be able to do that with something like a, oh, I don't know, Queen's Gambit. Very popular show, very entertaining. But if I wasn't able to binge that, I don't know that everybody would give it a chance for the second and third episode. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
if
Netflix has that problem. Unfortunately, sometimes the shows don't get good into the fourth episode, and so
yeah,
you have to
yeah,
get through that. But no, you're right. It's a delicate balance, but they have an algorithm behind there looking at everything, and I'm sure they're figuring out what's the best way to keep people engaged. But I think also their strategy right now has been looking at content that they've created for one country and how can they just leverage that across other countries, right? Just change the language, change the actors, but the same sets, the same everything. So like the criminal franchise that they have, I think it's set in England, but Spain and other countries. But they use different actors, maybe somewhat similar stories, but the same sets. And basically, they've kind of create like a assembly line of new content, right? For this show, so it can be placed in different countries, but it's basically the same thing. And so, or like the other one, there's another one, Money Heist. You heard of that show?
yes,
That's on Netflix. Yeah, so very similar strategy. So I think that's kind of like their focus now. But as they're seeing, Disney starting to nip at their heels, HBO Max with some of their strategies, I think Netflix is going to have to and then also they're losing a lot of their original licensed content, right? Like some of the things that was really driving their numbers were The Office, right? And
right.
things like that, Friends. So a lot of that stuff is gone because everyone create their own streaming service. So, okay, thank you. We license it to you, so we want it back. And so now Netflix has got to start turning out some better content. If they can't do that, got to find ways to keep people engaged longer. So anyway, well, especially they're going up on prices too. So that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, oh yeah. Let me ask you about this from the business. I mean, the business side of Netflix. When a company like that, on its surface, you just say, yeah, streaming service is a streaming service, but Netflix is actually pretty savvy on the technological end. So what I want to know is from like your point of view, what would the social network integration feel like or look like, or what type of connection to the people are you looking for past let me just watch this.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know, some kind of community building. I mean, there's some new app out there called Clubhouse. We've been experimenting with. They have, basically you get on there and then you have folks talking about different things. They even have people talking about TV shows, and you'd be surprised. A lot of these Clubhouse meetings go on for hours, even days, right? They just never end. So, some kind of partnership or something like that where you can kind of partner together and having these ongoing conversations while folks are kind of watching it near real time. I think that could be exciting or pretty interesting.
You know what? You just gave me an idea, or at least a vision. I'm gonna go in my little seance circle again and think on this later. But but no, I think about how Facebook started from the social side and then added on all these media features, and Twitter started on the communication microblogging side and adds media features in, and then they go out into media companies, and the Twitter API ends up getting integrated. What we haven't seen is a media first company like Netflix starting to bring in social. What if they um, started to do something like, hey, you're already on Netflix, you can use your account to and you don't want this to turn into YouTube comment section, which is like the Wild West. You say hi to somebody, you get shot in the face. um, but you could take a media company and start bringing in a lot of social elements to it. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but the thought of that is pretty entertaining if really start saying, hey, we like these type of films, let's get into a room and discuss it, like while the credits are rolling for a new release. Let's say you new release something at a very specific time, right? At the very end of it, these little chat boxes start showing up and people are talking about it like, whoa, that was crazy, this and that, da 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 da. Maybe the directors are in there. You could have a live chat with them. Um, like I don't know if any of you have been to a major Hollywood or a major film premiere, maybe at like your Austin theaters, show houses, or anything like that. Um, but when you go to these major releases at major theaters, what they'll do is they'll actually have cast members, they'll have directors and you know actors come to the premiere, and they'll talk to you before and after the show. It's pretty incredible that people do this, and bringing something like that to a live platform like Netflix. You just got my mind racing on different things that people could do, Theo. So that's pretty
No,
amazing.
no, no, no. I agree. I mean, it's already kind of happened. The people had watch parties. I don't know if you remember where
Hmm.
you it was synchronized. Okay, we're gonna watch Netflix at this time, but they would be on another platform, right, watching it, and they would synchronize and do comments. One of a big, YouTube blogger you and I listen to, she does that all the time, and so it's kind of like. And then they also had that we talked about last episode where celebrities did watch along parties. So I see it's just a natural evolution of what they're already doing, make the content, more relevant, keep people on there longer, engage more. And then now, is more value. So, okay, I'm paying, originally was paying, $9.99. Now I'm paying $12.99 a month. Okay, I'll pay $15.99 because now that I'm a part of a community, is value there, and I have, some social proof there, right? Kind of similar to all these platforms. That's why it become valuable, right? So, but it's definitely interesting because they're not, like you said, they're going from the entertainment angle, right, and trying to expand beyond that. And you know, they're going to just create content. I get it, but then they're spending what $7 billion of content.
Yeah,
Sure, keep spending content, but it's like eventually that content is not going to be as quality, or it's going to be issues with it. So how do you already have great content? How do you just make that better, right? And
yeah,
so that's a challenge. And I'm sure they can't get a lot of the licensed IP out there because a lot of the IP got bought up by the big studios and everyone else. So Netflix is like struggling. Okay, what
yeah.
new stuff can we put out there,
So
right? And so anyway,
is that easier for a company like or a place like HBO Max to do because they're Warner Brothers, and if you've already got people on your like you know when movies are released, they go on the promotion circuit, where they show up on talk shows and daily shows and on the news and everything. So I'm guessing it's easier for like a Warner Brothers and HBO Max to do that than a Netflix, but Netflix has the technical chops to do it, which is interesting to me. So this is all very interesting,
well, no, well, remember Dave Chappelle had that special he just threw out there, right, on
right?
Instagram, and he was talking about how HBO Max and Comedy Central, or Netflix, they just said, hey, they're using my content, but I never signed anything with them directly to use the Chappelle Show, right, which was
Right?
released, in the early 2000s. And he went out there, went to the people, and said, "Look, I want you guys to boycott it, right?" And because he's Dave Chappelle, they listened and they, took it off their streaming platforms, right? But he demonstrated the case where the business case where it's like, that's what all these artists do, right? They sign these lifelong contracts. He hinted to the fact that you signed it. They said we can use your content, to the end of the universe, right? He said, he said that's some who knows how long that's going to be,
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
right? So for whatever reason, and so now he's not getting paid on content he created originally. And so I think, going back to your original question, so I think, that's something that, Netflix may not know as well about, whereas, all these creative companies, Warner Brothers and everyone else have done this for years. So they have locked up a lot of talent, a lot of other things that it could probably reuse. Because, Marvel Studios, remember when they first signed on all these new actors for the Marvel Universe, they had like 5, 6, 10 picture deals, right? And so it's kind of like, and then I'm sure, I guarantee there's some stuff in there for like sequels 20 years from now, right?
yeah.
Or your image that we can use 100 years from now. So to your point, so I think Netflix has got to think a little bit differently about their content. So this is definitely totally what we had talked about, but it definitely opens up some new ideas that maybe we can, dive a little deeper into, like what would the next generation Netflix look like? Maybe we'll talk about that next week. That'd be kind of cool. But with that being said, I want to bring up a new show that was released on Netflix. Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai. For those that don't know, Cobra Kai is basically a sequel to a 30-year-old movie, the 30-year-old movie, The Karate Kid. I think it was 1984. Great movie. I think if you're of a certain age, a man, you remember that movie. And for those that don't, I think you probably know about it now. You probably knew about it from the Will Smith, Jaden Smith, a movie that premiered, I think, what, mid 2000s, early 2000s. But so basically, it's the timeless issue about a kid who's getting beat up, bullied. Then he learns how to fight, and then he wins his self respect. Right, kind of like Rocky, but set for like the teenager group. But the unique thing about Cobra Kai did, they took the perspective of not the hero, which was Daniel LaRusso, but the villain of the movie, which is Johnny Lawrence. He was a big bad. Well, he was the guy that was beating him up, bullying him, and they showed from his perspective, and that's why it's called Cobra Kai, not Karate Kid. And so anyway, long story short, this show premiered on YouTube Red, one of their first original shows. I heard about it for years. It was great. Everybody said it was great, wonderful, but I wasn't paying for YouTube Red. Then it flipped over to Netflix this year, or last year, excuse me, last year, and I binged season one, season two, and just started, season three. So, Ben, this show should not work at all, but it does. So, what's great about this show? What's working?
Man, so being the thing about now is being transparent, being true to yourself, being understanding, and trying to move forward in a positive way. And this show gets that. Like, I told friends about this show. To be honest, way left SJW types, and you tell them that, yeah, this is about Johnny Lawrence and it's coming from his point of view. Their first thing is, why would I want to watch a show about the bully, right? And I know it doesn't sound like it should work, but I'm watching it and I'm like, holy crap, they're showing things from his point of view. He had a messed up past, he's got a messed up present, and it looks like he's about to have a messed up future, but he seems to be generally remorseful. How does he get out of this? And that's basically where it starts off. And of course, the good guy from the Karate Kid, he's he's succeeding, and he started to get really snarky and obnoxious. Like, hey guys, I kick the competition every day because I'm a winner. He's got his car dealership and everything, and no one likes car dealers. I mean, be for real. So the way they flipped it is it's genius, and I'm amazed at just the balance of perspectives that they put in the show. So it's not really hitting to the left, to the right. You know, um, People from the south, people from the north, or whatever. It hits on so many angles. I think that's what just keeps it entertaining. Um, and in general, most people like it, so definitely worth checking out.
No, I agree 100%. And even, even though it's coming from his perspective, and he's definitely could be canceled, right? Some of the things he says and does, but it's funny, right? They do it with a tongue-in-cheek manner. Johnny Lawrence, the villain of the previous movie, now the hero of the TV show, and I love it. But they do little things like, they want to be friends, but they can't be friends because they're rivals. So they always kind of pull apart, put them together, pull them apart, and then they have kind of they're mentoring other kids, and so their philosophies, as adult men, is reflected in their martial arts, and that's something that I keyed into too, because again, as a man of a certain age, you're like, wow, do you have a philosophy in life, and what do you pass on to the next generation? And it's kind of funny how their philosophies change or evolve because they don't know everything, right? But they're trying to teach someone else, whether it's martial arts or life, and they're having to think about their mentors, right? What they taught them that was good or bad, and so, I think that's their heart part. So it's kind of funny, it's nostalgic, but it also has truth and heart in there. And so the writers, bravo, man, they did a great job because of they understood exactly what made the Karate Kid work the first time, but kept some of the cheesiness, left the heart, and just updated it, and that's what makes it funny. So definitely, we can't review this. Highly recommend this TV show enough. I will say this. We may talk about it again. I've already kind of went through the whole show one day. It was that
Ah,
great to me, and but I know Ben is just getting started, so we'll maybe save a
yeah.
more
Well,
thorough
I'm just
conversation
getting
later.
started on season 3. I actually purchased YouTube Red way back in the day, but I wanted to binge out on the first 2 seasons within I wanted to binge out the first 2 seasons within the 7-day free trial. So I totally did that. Had no other reason to hold on to YouTube Red and unsubscribed right after.
Smart move, smart move. So good stuff. Well, one last prediction, Ben. What's your prediction? What's your last prediction for 2021?
Oh, it's finally time for esports. So all the kids in the college dorm who were, adjusting their Street Fighter sticks to their perfect specifications, they can finally come out of the closet. I know they're probably saying, "I've already been out. What are you talking about?" Um, you know, League of Legends, your NBAs, 2Ks, your Madden tournaments, all this stuff is happening. It's been kind of on the sidelines, but I think it's really going to start pushing its way into the more of the forefront this year. You've got people at home; they've got nothing better to do, and they want a different. They want to change the pace, just because everything's been shaken up. So I'm thinking we're going to see a really big push in esports. Um, I could go into a variety of speculative reasons why, but esports this year is on another level. If you're not watching your favorite celebrities on Twitch, mess around with games, then you're behind the curve. Get on it. Start supporting your squad. Figure out how to adjust your keyboard and mouse settings because you're going to need it if you want to get involved.
All right, no, that's great. I agree. I think we may see some bigger celebrities. I'm sure there's already some celebrities doing some things, but like someone like The Rock or Will Smith may start showing up, squawking or selling their wares there. So I definitely think esports is the way of the future. So yeah, like we talked about before, man, it's a new world, and I think we're both excited that we're here, ready to move forward. So it's hopefully you guys will stay with us as we continue to talk about these weekly updates from both a show and a business standpoint. Ben, is there anything else before we outro?
No, man. Just want to make sure everybody has a good 2021. Your spirits are uplifted. You're not sitting around crying about life. You're gonna we're gonna we're gonna get through this somehow. So you might as well start getting through it the best way you can. Make some mistakes, fall on your face. Follow me on Instagram and watch me fall on my face. Follow Theo, ask questions about the business side because you're going to need all of that too. Um, just get out there and start making things happen. 2021 is the year for it. That's all I got.
No, no, that's great. That's a great way to end it. So everyone, look, like, subscribe us at Show versus Business on Instagram. Go ahead and look for our podcast on Apple as well as Spotify and Stitcher. So definitely, we'd love to talk to you. Reach out to us as well, Theo at 2012 and Mr. Benja on Instagram. We'd love to talk to you. Hey everyone, have a great day, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture. Please subscribe to this podcast at Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Please like and subscribe to our Instagram page, Show versus Business, to get exclusive behind-the-scenes clips and upcoming episodes. Talk to you next time.
Finish him!